Welcome to Women in B2B Marketing, a show where CMOs, VPs of marketing, and all strong women leaders in B2B discuss their top tactics, strategies, and tips for building high-performing teams, leveraging trends, and ultimately rocking their marketing careers. Made by and for women, insightful for all. I'm your host and 15-year B2B marketer, Jane Serra. Let's dive in. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode of Women in B2B Marketing. We are all going to be pumped for our guest today. She's the one, the only, Liza Adams, who, if you don't know, definitely go check her out on LinkedIn if you're not already following her. I'm super surprised. She's an AI advisor and a fractional CMO with 20 plus years of experience in our space. And folks, she drops gems left and right. She is a teacher all the time. I've seen you speak and share just amazing nuggets of information on Pavilion, on CMO Coffee Talks, on everywhere I see. And it's always gold. So thank you for sharing your light with us always. And thank you for joining me on the show today.
My goodness, what an introduction. I'm so humbled. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoy doing these podcasts because I always learn from everyone, right? So I'm excited to learn from you today as well, Jane.
Oh, love it. I'm so excited for this conversation because first of all, you were also one of the top 50 CMOs to watch in 2024, and probably every year you will be as well, because you're a marketing gem. And then on top of that, AI, you've just doubled down on since its inception. So it's perfect bridge of both worlds where most marketers are like, where do we begin other than content? So excited to dive into that. And we had a prep call and it opened my eyes just way deeper into the behind the scenes, Liza, and why you do what you do. So I'm excited to share that with everybody today. But first, to lay the ground, how did you get into this lovely world of B2B marketing, AI, where you are today?
Oh boy, I'm an immigrant and I came here to the United States from Manila, the Philippines, when I was 14 years old. Very poor family, very impoverished. And I am so grateful every day. I pinch myself, Jane, for you to introduce me the way that you did and to just look back and see that I was a poor Filipino girl just wanting something very different and elevate the family long time ago. So I had the opportunity to come here to the US because of a lot of very generous people to really uplift the family. And stayed with a foster family in Michigan and was actually introduced to a girls in engineering program at Michigan Tech when I was a junior in high school. And that was probably the turning point in my life where I realized I wanted to be an engineer because they introduced us to many aspects of engineering, from mechanical, electrical, aerospace, petroleum, ceramic engineering. And I said, I want to be an electrical engineer. And fortunate enough, again, that there's some generous people that allowed me to pursue my dreams. And the rest is history. I ended up working in B2B tech. And I realized that although I have this love for engineering, I can tell stories and I can translate really technical things into elements that are more relatable to people. So that was my entry into marketing. So I've been doing B2B tech marketing for a couple of decades or more. It's really a lot more than a couple decades.
Yeah.
And I've just enjoyed it. I've gone through every single inflection point in the market, from internet, cloud, mobile, social, SaaS, and then now AI. I've been doing AI for about 12 years, starting with machine learning and predictive analytics, and then now generative. And a lot of my roles have been senior executive marketing roles for tech companies. And I have been very passionate about elevating the strategic value of marketing.
Yes.
And before we get into that, that is my journey. That is my journey from my upbringing in the Philippines to being completely grateful every day for what the United States has been able to give me.
It's just so uplifting to hear your story and just be reminded of everything we should be grateful for, right? Because during a lot of day-to-day things that can knock us down, and the elections coming up, a lot is knocking us down. But through it, just remember what to be grateful for. And I just love your gratitude emanates from you. So it's really great to see and feel. And it's also interesting to hear your background. So in engineering, it makes a lot of sense why you got into AI so early on too, right? The engineering background marrying with the marketing world and always being on top of that back end. I'm curious, I know we talked about this and you started to get into it, which is perfect. You have, and I'm sure you have many passions, but there are 3 that you told me about, if you recall them. It's okay if you change it up, but your 3 passions that really got you into AI and why this is really important for you and how you leverage it. If you can walk us through that.
Yeah. So my passion for elevating the strategic value of marketing. I think marketing has had a tough go for quite some time, especially in B2B tech. And I think there is this notion that a lot of marketers, including CMOs, all across the organization, there's a perception that we're tacticians. The campaigns, the ads, social, websites, events, they take front and center position in people's minds of what they think marketing is. We rarely get to showcase the things that really elevate campaigns. For example, our deep understanding of our customers. That's the North Star for marketing. Understanding who we can serve the best, the segmentation, the targeting, the positioning, the ensuring that we have exceptional product market fit, that we're going after a market that our products can serve the best, that we can have very sustainable moats out there, and we have a defensible positioning in the market, and that we can create categories and we can sustain leadership in those categories. Those are some very strategic things that marketing can do. Oh, and by the way, given that we have this deep understanding of our customers and the market, we have such an opportunity to help the executive team make some business decisions. These are not marketing decisions. These are business decisions that will help propel the company. So I want that for marketing, not just for our generation, Jane, but for the next generation of leaders who are coming up. And enter in AI. When I first saw AI in November 2022 with ChatGPT, I really saw that this could be a gift to marketers. This will allow us to flip the script from mainly tacticians to strategists for the business. It takes us way beyond summarizing reports and creating blogs and creating images. This allows us to have a thought partner and what if scenario planning, strategic thinking, changing the way we do business. So it's not just about efficiency, it's about effectiveness and also innovating. So I tell people it's not just fast, it's not just about better, it's also about different. And I think that is such a shift that we need to make in marketing. And we're in a really good position now from an AI perspective. So that's one of my passions. The other passion, I'm not an AI expert, but my passion gets elevated to differ by AI. And then the other 2 is really, I've always been a proponent for diverse voices. I love this notion of the Justice League, where you have superheroes with complementary and different superpowers that come together and they have the same mission of saving the earth. And that's my philosophy in building teams and collaborating with people. And I think in AI, especially if it's supposed to benefit all of humanity, we need to have diverse voices represented and have the same opportunities across, whether it's gender, race, perspectives, ideas. I think when we have diverse opinions, we can ultimately benefit all rather than just a select few, which translates into my last passion of using business as a force for good. Those are my 3.
I love it. I love it. And everyone, they did not change at all. She's very solid in her 3 passions. So I love this. Do you have any examples of how you can leverage AI for these to achieve these three goals and passions and move them forward?
Yeah. When I talk about elevating the strategic value of marketing, I talk about the shift from grow at all costs to sustain
Yes.
profitability. And that is such a massive shift for many companies, right? The motions are different, the strategies are different, product market fit needs to be reassessed. And I think not that many marketers are putting a lot of focus on what that shift means, not just from the marketing perspective, but from the executive team's perspective. I think about that as being super mindful about the markets that we go after, because it's no longer about capturing share as quickly as we can and maybe compromising our ICP, our ideal customer profile, right? So now I think about a red, yellow, green, like a bullseye. Green, we're going to go after these customers because their needs are best suited for us to serve better than anybody can. Yellow, we have some questions, right? If we ask these 3 or 5 questions, then we can determine whether they're a green or a red. And then there should be a red that says, we won't go after these customers. They're better served by another competitor. And also it's good for us because we're no longer just serving anyone. We're serving the ones that we can serve the best. And it's good for those customers that are in the red because we're not leading them on as if we are going to be serving them the best we can. So I think using AI to analyze a lot of market data, a lot of customer information, and at the same time being introspective about what our strengths and weaknesses are, using AI to essentially do that analysis. In which markets do we have the best fit? In which markets can we serve the best? In which markets are we not? So that's one aspect of it. And how much value can we provide compared to our competitors? The other aspect of it is be introspective around our defensible moats. So we may be providing a lot of value today, but is it defensible long-term or is it just short-term defensibility? So I and my team also use AI to figure out how defensible is the moat. We're actually asking it to rate for us how long we can sustain the difference. And for the most part, if the defensible moat is primarily around technology, so for example, we're all building on top of the same large language models, that might not be defensible enough. The defensible things could be, the things that tend to be more defensible are things like we have a robust ecosystem of partners. We have a loyal set of customers. We have a brand that is known and loved. We have deep knowledge in a vertical. We have data and insights in that specific industry. So AI can help us figure out strategies based on product market fit, as well as defensibility to figure out the top markets or top segments and personas to go after.
I have 2 paths I want to go down, which I probably say in every episode because just my guests are so amazing. I want to talk about everything in deeper detail. I'm going to go down the moat path first. So you mentioned examples of a moat could be deep knowledge, data, customer loyalty, something like that, and not so much ad-libbing here, not so much features of a product. Is that accurate? Do you think it's less the features and more something that's less tangible except for data? Usually remote?
I think it could be features. However, we have to be careful about those features, right? If the features are something that, for example, like I said, you're building on top of OpenAI. And we're building capabilities because OpenAI doesn't have specific features. AI today is the least capable form that we'll ever see moving forward. So as AI advances, how defensible would be our gap or feature that's supposed to be addressing a gap be over time, right? If it's a feature that's super difficult for our competitors to replicate, awesome. But it's really about how easy is it to copy? Is it easy, moderate, or hard? When I say hard, Think about features that they would literally have to hire your top talent, or they might have to buy your company because you've got the intellectual property on that technology. But if it's something other than that, if it's something that, hey, it's just our next release of the product, or give us 9 more months and your competitors can replicate it, then that's not a sustainable or defensible strategy long-term, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. It makes perfect sense, because you're making me think now. I know brand has had its comeback and it's amazing. Like, it's finally getting the love it deserves in B2B. And it makes me just realize how important brand is, because that's, once you have an established, well-known brand in your space and with your ICP, that's really hard for somebody else to come and build from scratch, right? For somebody to copy. So
yeah,
that would be a great
agree.
move.
I think trust is going to rise in the era of AI. It's not going to be enough that we have the best data, the best technology, the best distribution. It's going to be about trust. And it's going to take meeting people where they're at, slowly gaining trust over time until they're willing to give us more of their business. And the other thing with brand, I use brand and trust building almost interchangeably. I actually like trust building better than brand building, because the word brand has different connotations to different people. Some might only think about it as the look and feel and the logos and things like that. But I have such respect for those who are really good in brand building, because in my mind, that's trust building. And when it comes to trust, and someone said to me, Liza, brand and trust is earned. It's rented. It's not owned. We have to continue building it. We can't say, oh, I've got my brand. A lot of people trust me, then not continue to invest in it. This is a relationship. And just like any other relationship, we need to nurture it, and we need to keep ensuring that we're top of mind and that we continue to consistently earn the trust of those customers that we care about.
Yeah, that's so true. It's not just one big brand campaign and then you're done. We achieved it. People know who we are. Bye. It's ongoing. I think that's a really good point, because a lot of us might not even think that. We just like have this goalpost, but the goalpost will keep moving.
That's right.
And brand and demand, but
yes, companies that at one point had trust and then now don't.
True.
And have to regain the trust, right? So
yes, good point. I wonder, so if we go back down the other path now, when we're talking about using AI to determine like how long you'll have this moat and the length of time you have for different things and building these defensible moats, can you walk us through like a specific example? Is this all, should I be picturing ChatGPT and just a really good prompt and uploading a ton of data into it? Or are there different tools you're using for different questions? Or I'm just trying to get a tangible. I'm a visual person, so I'm trying to get the picture right in my head.
Yeah. So I've actually created a custom GPT to determine whether you are a company that's truly providing more value than your competitors, is on one axis. And on the other axis is it assesses your level of defensibility. And when you're on the level of value compared to your competitors, there are 3 dimensions or 3 key elements of the scale. One is your me too. The second element is that you're providing incremental improvement compared to your competitors. And then the last end of the scale is that you're providing order of magnitude improvement compared to your competitors. So that's on the value scale, right?
Okay.
And then on the other scale, it's the defensibility on whether it's easy, moderate, or hard to replicate. And basically the GPT, so you would use ChatGPT, it asks you questions to determine where on that scale you are on both dimensions. And if you are on the order of magnitude of value compared to your competitors and very difficult to replicate in terms of your moats, then you're in the category maker bucket. And you have the ability to potentially create a category. But if you're elsewhere on that chart, like low defensibility, moderate value, you're probably a me too or a next release. So you really need to think about strategies for how to go up the scale on value and then up the scale on defensive. So
Wow.
basically what the GPT does is it asks the executive team, what is your value compared to your competitors?
Yeah.
You have to answer that question, right? And then it would also ask, what are your top 3 areas of differentiation? And you could say brand, technology, or customer experience. And those 3, it would say how easy or how hard would be each one of those to replicate. Then you would answer those questions. Based on your answers, it will then give you an assessment of where you are in terms of your ability to create a category or the need for you to up level both in value and in your moats. And then there's strategies that you can then test in the market based on where you land, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So is this custom GPT that you built, is this something that we can access, or is this people who are working with you have exclusive access to?
It can be it's on the GPT store. You can if you've got the $20 subscription for ChatGPT, look it up. It's called the Defensibility Assessment GPT.
Very cool.
And maybe I will send to you the link and you could put it in the show notes and everybody
100%.
Can access it. I actually wrote a newsletter about it to assess your defensibility, and I could send that to you and you could share it with everyone.
Yeah. Very cool. Thank you so much. I'm excited. This is like homework I'm excited to do.
Yes.
I wonder, another thing that came to mind while you were explaining how this works, I'm curious if you ever see different responses from different executives filling it out, because you know how sometimes you ask the same question, you get very different responses as to what the differentiators are, et cetera. I'm curious how that works.
Question, because Jane, the way that I've done this is I've actually asked each executive to run through the GPT on their own.
Yeah.
And then I get the results, right? And then we come together as a team, and then we actually go through the GPT together to see what the results are. And then I show them what their individual responses were and what the aggregate team said. So now everybody has visibility into each other's thinking. And that allows for really candid conversations, healthy debates across the leadership team. And I think it's one of those where, as human beings, we tend to like belly button gaze. We have our own opinions. And then when you see others look at it from a very different perspective, then it really opens up the aperture, right?
Yes. Which comes
love.
back to one of your passions of the importance of having diverse people and perspectives on your team. You were saying how you show them how having these unique perspectives, and that I just had this light bulb moment of it, and that comes back to your passion of having diverse people, like the need to have this in perspectives because it stops your belly button gazing.
That's right. That's right. And it's amazing to think that AI will actually bring us together, right? That it is helping us align people. Not that we couldn't have done this without AI, because I've done this process and I've used this framework many moons ago and I consistently do it. But for it to analyze the results so quickly and be able to share with everyone so quickly how the results might change depending on our responses to the question, we could almost do it in real time, right? So if the executive team decides, oh, we don't like those modes, let's change those modes to other things like XYZ, and let's change the weighting for them on what's most important to us. They can see how the response would be different and how their positioning might change in the market.
Wow. Do you need a lot of competitive data to put this in, or just really a good, keen awareness of where you really stand in the market and who your competitors are? Do you need like their actual data and success stories or case studies examples?
Yeah. So 2 things. I use this to test the executives. I use it to just get an honest, very introspective view of what they think. And then out comes an answer. And then based on that answer, we then test in the market and determine, hey, let's validate your thinking, right? Because our thinking has blinders. If we say that we provide order of magnitude of improvement and our moats are in experience, unique data, and partner ecosystem, we're going to test that in market. And then we're going to come back in 2 weeks and say, all right, here's what the test resulted in. And let's now have a conversation. It could be absolutely validated. We knew exactly what the market thinks. Or, oh my gosh, we have blinders on and we are completely considered in a very different space. They don't believe that mode is relevant, or we're actually behind competitors. We're not providing order of magnitude of improvement. So I think this allows us to be super honest with ourselves and at the same time get some real honest feedback from the market as a result.
Love that. So first of all, again, I'm so excited to go use this ChatGPT. So I'm going to go into that. As soon as you send over the link, or I'll go search in the store.
And by the way, I made a mistake on the name. It's a competitive defensibility analyzer.
Ooh, okay. Very cool. Not the Liza analyzer?
No, I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Jane.
Oh, not at all. No, thank you. I'm curious, going back to your 3 passions, because now just from talking to you, I see how this is all interconnected and can help all of they all just, what's the word, flywheel off of each other, right? And expand. What's the backstory to these becoming your passion? Was there a moment where you were just like, okay, I need to do more than drive leads, drive MQLs, which is what, like you were saying, marketers are much more seen, unfortunately, as tactical, like what we do versus what information we can bring and the strategy we have, which I see too, right? So how are these ads performing? How did that email campaign go? How many people registered for the event? Those are the things we're tracking every day and are asked about. But bigger picture, like what led you to wanting to elevate how marketers are seen? And was there like a tipping point or an aha moment?
Yeah, there was. I've always been cognizant of the craft because I love marketing, right? I think there's something about being able to capture hearts and minds, and the wallets follow.
Yeah.
But the craft has really suffered, I think, we have some of the shortest tenures in the CMO role. When there are tough times, you see a lot of layoffs, and often marketing is first. And sometimes we're the last ones to come back into an organization, or we get brought in not at the product market fit assessment stage, but in the launch or demand generation stages. And I often was so confused by that, right? Because if our North Star as marketers are the customers, and we're supposed to understand the customers like no other and understand the market and the competitors and the partners, why is it that this is happening? And I think it's not just perception. It's on both sides, right? There are good marketers and there are not so good marketers. And there are great CEOs and not so great CEOs, right?
Yeah.
And the notion of coming back to the North Star of understanding our customers in the market is something I think that a number of marketers have gotten away from. Not intentionally, but because of the pressure of growth at all costs and trying to achieve results very quickly. And when that happens, and when we're in that kind of pressure cooker, oftentimes building the relationship with customers and understanding them well falls by the wayside.
Yeah.
And it just creates this endless loop, right? You're expected to deliver short-term results, but you now have less time to build relationships with customers and understand them. Like, we're in an endless cycle, and it's not good for the craft. So I'm trying to get to the point where we get out of that by just taking a little bit more time to understand them. And then, by the way, AI allows us to shrink that time. Because now we can be more insightful. We can do it faster. We can be more efficient. We can analyze a lot of data. We can align executive teams and have healthy debates a lot more quickly than we ever had before. Before, we wouldn't do market research because it takes a lot of time, because it takes a lot of money. We would have to pay an analyst hundreds and thousands of dollars to do it. But now we shrink all of that. right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just such an opportunity for us to regain our North Star again and get out of the cycle, in my opinion.
I love that. That AI can get us back to the true craft of marketing.
That's right.
That sounds like a book to me, Liza. I think you're onto something.
You think I'm onto something?
Yes. Because it's so true. When you said pressure cooker, that just resonated with me, right? I think a lot of us feel, especially the past few years, but there's waves of this, right? All the time where we feel like we're in this pressure cooker and we have to perform. And otherwise, what happens? Who knows? There's all these layoffs. And like you said, marketing is often first to go. What would you say to somebody, let's say a CMO at a company where she or he, or they feel like they're in a pressure cooker and just like being demanded still? Because I know we keep saying the age of grow at all costs is over, but I think it's a little idealistic and we want it to be over, but it's not quite there yet. I think we're in that transitional gray area. For those of us that feel like we're in a pressure cooker, what would you say to them? How can we leverage AI or anything what should we say to our CEO? Any advice would be welcome.
Yeah. What I have now realized is that AI doesn't fix what's broken. It actually amplifies what's there. So if we think about, let's just say we've got a bad product market fit. And I'm seeing this with a lot of companies because there are now strategies that are being developed where the executive team says, we want to go up market into the enterprise, right? There's so many of those. We want to expand into new regions of the world. We want to now have a PLG motion, product-led growth motion. All of that puts pressure on product market fit, right? And unless we excel in making sure that fits, when we have a lot of pressure to create demand in the market and we infuse our campaigns with AI, the analogy that I use is it's like doing an all-out campaign for snowblowers in Florida because we don't have product market fit, right? It doesn't matter how well you do campaigns and how much AI you use in your campaigns. If the market doesn't see the benefits of it and we're not addressing a critical problem or a need, it's not going to work. What AI does, it actually amplifies that misalignment, that product market fit, and it's a faster path to failure. My advice to CMOs who might be thinking that is a critical problem in the company, embrace budget cuts. In fact, be the first to say, take my part of my budget and let's use that to solve for product market fit. Whether that's figuring out what segments to go after, or is it something that we need to do in the product to improve the fit, or is it in customer success because we've got a leaky bucket? So when we shift the dollars to fixing the problem, we are better off later on to say we now need marketing dollars to amplify what we do so well. And I think the rest of the executive team will appreciate that, right? Because we're now operating as a team player for the business rather than just thinking about our little marketing world. That's like my most tangible advice to CMOs today who might be believing that the problem is not necessarily marketing, but it is something more strategic and more fundamental as product market fit.
Really smart, because then it's again showing that marketing is a team player and part of making business decisions, not just the promotional side of things, not just that P. So what I heard you say is first, product market fit before all else. Second, amplify with AI, and then you can speed things up and get more done.
That's
very cool. Yeah, I love that. Are you seeing anything with the customers that you're working with? What's working to get us out of the pressure cooker for driving growth with AI or without? What are you seeing on the growth side of things, like that? What's working nowadays?
What's working is, I think, for those companies that have decent product market fit, right? I'm seeing really good traction in using AI for building efficiency. So there's a lot of ideas around how we can improve productivity. I am already seeing marketing teams creating GPTs as assistants for their work. So, for
Yes.
example, field marketing might have a GPT for translation and localization. Product marketing might have a GPT for creating battle cards, competitive battle cards. Content marketing might have a GPT for creating ideas for really compelling content by persona. So I'm super encouraged by these productivity types of AI motions in the business. And I'm already seeing some results from all of that. So translation GPTs, I've seen people save tens and thousands of dollars by simply using a custom GPT to do translations, just as an example. So that's a good example of what I'm seeing work today.
Yeah. And those are really great specific examples too. So I need to look more into how to leverage different AI platforms for battle cards. That sounds amazing. And then for compelling content by these are just great examples. Do you think that AI became so popular out of the whole do more with less, a good trend that started a few years ago where like all of our teams shrunk, but our expectations doubled, and we need AI in order to attempt to attain these goals now with smaller teams? It just feels like it was born out of necessity, or it just came at the perfect time.
Yeah, I think it came at the perfect time, like the stars aligned.
Yeah.
But what doesn't work so well, I've described what works, what I'm seeing, some of the successes of AI, is that we stop at finding solutions to make things go faster. Do more, because we could do things in a lot shorter time. We have essentially compressed time.
Yeah.
But we're just scratching the surface for doing things better and really not diving into how we can do things differently.
Yeah.
The use case that I shared with you around assessing defensible moats and our ability to serve customers better compared to our competitors, I wish more people would do things like that, right? Use it, make decisions, use it to do things differently as a result of what AI can help us do, or how AI can assess things and then help us make decisions, those types of things. I'm all for great productivity, but my goodness, the possibilities are just so much more when we think about what it can do for better quality results and different ways of doing things.
Yeah. I love that distinction. So you're right. I do think, and probably many do think, AI and getting it done faster, or volume, right? Speeding up that and productivity. It's really to do more with less is what I think first. But innovation and new ways to do things, and in addition to that productivity side, you're right. I need to are there any more key examples you can give of any company or person that is doing that today, that is using AI for more innovation and doing things differently to break the mold?
Yeah, so I think the poster child right now is Moderna, with 750 GPTs deployed in the company. And that was, 3 months ago. So they probably have many more GPTs now.
Wow.
And they have 80% adoption in their workflows. And I don't know, I can't remember the exact quote, but they basically said that they'd be able to develop 5 new drugs leveraging thousands of people rather than the tens of thousands of people required to develop new drugs. So this is not just about efficiency. I would suspect that there's like a very different way of doing things to achieve that kind of result. Like I said, it's the poster child for innovation, but I think there's a lot of innovation that can happen just in how teams work together. So right now, if you think about marketing, we're very siloed, right? We have product marketing, content marketing, demand generation, growth marketing, field marketing. And my view, this is my future view. Marketing, I believe, will become more of a cross-functional team where, depending on the initiative, we will have teams, cross-functional teams that come together and then dissipate. Some of them will be more ephemeral because the initiative is short, right? It might be a small campaign. So we come together and then we dissipate. There are some strategic longer term initiatives where the team comes together, but they stay together for a long time. I think that's like the model that I'm thinking about. And we will use AI for execution, data analytics, personalization, using them as a thought partner, but we are still providing oversight, strategic thinking, creative thinking on top of AI. So that's also just a very different way of working. So I would hope that others are thinking about how might we rethink marketing and our operating model so that it's not just about faster, but it's also about better and different.
Yeah. I wonder if, because this is making me realize, like, I want to bake AI into almost every factor of what my team does. And I try to lead by example because I think there's also this hesitation. It's a total Jane hypothesis, but I think there's hesitation because we're always seeing, okay, is this written by AI? Oh, I don't want to get in trouble, or like plagiarism, or there's just like this fear, at least on the content side, and probably some other ways too, but there's a fear of using it for being judged that you were using AI and it wasn't quote unquote your work. So I try to leverage AI for ideation and like just getting the gears turning all the time and showcasing that to my team so they are comfortable doing the same. Like, it's okay if this title came from ChatGPT and then you edited it. Like, that's great. It saved you like a lot of effort and energy and it got you started. But I wonder if you're seeing that too.
What's interesting in what you said is that I have told people that AI will force us to be more strategic and authentically human, right?
Yeah.
And marketers were in a good position to straddle this balance between a lot of things: innovation versus ethics, personalization versus transparency, automation versus the human touch. We have to balance all those things to build trust. And in what you said around, you didn't want to use AI for, what was the use case that you mentioned?
For content or creating or using titles, right? Things like that.
Yeah. I actually think there's such an opportunity for marketers to lean in, because Notebook LM from Google, where you can upload a PDF or a link to a newsletter, and then out pops an AI pod hosted by two AI hosts. And
I did hear about this recently.
You heard about this, right? Okay.
Yeah.
That can save us a lot of time. But at the same time, the podcast is more relatable and more approachable. And it's ideal for people who have more auditory learning styles. Like I'm an auditory learner, right? I learn by listening. And I'm also a multitasker. So when I'm driving or walking the dog, I like to listen to podcasts, right? But the reason why I'm sharing this is I think there's such an opportunity for marketers to use this, not just for our own internal purposes and for our own learning, but also commercially, externally, but with this transparency and ethical use notion where we might have to say a disclaimer that this podcast is not a human podcast. It was generated by AI from human created content, and we provided human oversight to ensure accuracy. We're using AI to make sure that information is sent to you in a timely manner, more efficient manner, and to cater to more diverse learning styles. Something like that, right? Because now we are straddling this fence of innovation and technology advancements, but at the same time, we're being very human and authentic about our use of AI.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's such a cool time to be in marketing because that's hard to do, right? That we now have to really message in that way. And those that can pick market segments that we are best aligned to and use AI to balance human values that are important to us and technology advancement, in my opinion, those brands will rise.
Yeah. So it seems like there's a way this is what many of us are struggling with, that balance of AI and the human side of things. If we think about it super simply and we stop overcomplicating everything as we tend to do, It's just being honest and transparent about what we're doing.
That's
And
right.
then, okay, I use this for this, and this is what this is, and this was used for this because we're trying to get in front of here. Let us know if you spot any issues, we'll fix it. But it's just that continuous growth together and being transparent about it, and you should be fine.
Absolutely. We think about it for personalization, right? Personalization is going to rise. If we're not honest, people are going to think we're creepy. But if we're honest, that here's how we're going to use your data. Here's how we know about you. And we're upfront about that. Then we have a better shot of earning trust.
Yeah. Rules, I feel like the things we learned in kindergarten just carry through the rest of life, right? Treat others how you want to be treated and be honest. Always be honest. These suit you well throughout your whole life.
I've said the golden rule of marketing, especially in the era of AI, be an amazing human being first and then be an amazing marketer.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I feel like that would be a great note to end on, but I want to squeeze one more thing out of you, Liza.
Okay.
2 more if you'll deal with me. Okay. 1, you mentioned a couple of tools already, which I'll drop in show notes. Notebook LM, your own GPT. What else? Are there any other tools that come top of mind for you in regards to AI for marketers?
I have my Justice League of AI tools, and they're truly just Perplexity, the paid version, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, paid version, and then ChatGPT Teams. So those are my 3.
The go-tos. Awesome.
My go-to.
Yeah. And one last thing, if you could go back in time to you when you were just coming here and learning you wanted to study engineering, what would you tell Liza back in the day as she's just embarking in engineering, maybe figuring out she's might go into marketing? What would you tell her knowing all that today?
Don't fear. It's amazing what happens when you just put yourself out there authentically. There are people that rise to help. And today I stand on the shoulders of many giants, and I never thought that was possible. And it's amazing what could happen when that happens. And don't expect anything in return. The ripple effect of kindness is amazing. And what ricochets back is so unexpected and it's just fantastic. So that would be my advice to myself, that not worry about the little things. It's be yourself. And I know how trite that sounds, but when your passion is out there, you will attract like-minded people. And that's the best ICP ever, right? Don't attract.
My gosh, so many quotes from Liza today. Don't chase, attract. I love it.
Yeah, there's this quote where somebody said, if you chase butterflies, they'll fly away. But when you tend to your garden and make it as beautiful as you can, you will attract the right butterflies. And that's what I love to do.
I love that. Thank you so much, Liza. I feel like we have so much more well-rounded understanding of how to leverage AI, and just it's so great to hear why you're getting into this or got into this 12 plus years ago now for marketing and your passions, and just reminding us to think full picture, right? And how everything's connected and just be good human. So thank you for sharing this and all of your tips today.
Me.
Thank you. And thank you everybody for listening. Liza, if anybody wants to connect, where's the best place for them to find you?
LinkedIn. So Liza, Liza Adams. And my website is growthpath.net.
Awesome. I'll also put those links in the show notes. So
all right. And I'll send you the newsletter link.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. And if you like the show today, please share with a friend, post about it, tag us on LinkedIn, reach out to us on LinkedIn, and please rate and review because that gets us the most traction. So thank you, everyone. Have a good day.